Hello, Keeping It Holy fans and friends. Keeping It Holy podcast is launching a newsletter with exclusive updates, devotional and encouragement, and other goodies to help you in your spiritual journey. When you sign up, our newsletter will provide updates sent to your email weekly. Please sign up, use the description below, and enjoy the video. Thank you. Hello, Keeping It Holy fans, friends, subscriber. Once again, we're happy to be with you and another show. We thank you for all the work that you're doing out there to promote this show. We thank you because you share it with your friends, you subscribe, you give us likes, you put your comments, so that encourage us, that make us thinking about different subject to bring to you every other week, every 3 weeks, as often as we can. So here with us again, our friend Katiana.
Hi, everyone.
Katiana, once again, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Um, our pleasure. We thank you for being here with us. So today we're going to talk about, you're going to introduce the subject today.
Today, we're going to be talking about self care.
Yes.
Yes.
We are going to talk about self-care today. So I read this that stood out to us. It says 10 dimensions of health and wellness. And it talks about the inner dimension and it talks about the outer dimension. I believe today in those 10 dimensions, we're going to talk about 3 of them to focus on the self-care today. And the 3 is the inner dimension that you're going to spend some time talking about. So it talks about spiritual, physical, and mental. So in our conversation today, we'll be focused on those 3 areas to talk to our listeners about self-care. So, Katiana, as we moving forward, I'd like you to give us a little definition of what self-care is.
Well, for me, self care is pretty much making sure that you're taking care of yourself in order to be able to give to others. Because if you don't take care of yourself, how are you able to operate? Because if your cup is empty, you're operating from an empty cup. So if you will have nothing to give to others if your cup is not full. So in taking care of yourself, you're able to give to others. You're able to take care of others. So self-care is important. You need to take care of yourself in order to be able to give to others. So that's my definition of self-care. But I know that you can go to the dictionary and give us another definition of self-care.
Yeah. So, well, let's probably just move on to the practicality of the healthcare,
Okay.
the self-care.
Okay.
So what are some of the practicality of self-care? So for those who are hearing, they hear self and they hear care. So what are we referring to? What are we talking about today?
Okay. Well, as you stated before, we're going to focus on 3 areas. And one of the areas we're going to focus on is the physical aspect, because the first thing that we normally think about when we think about self-care is the physical. As a child, the first thing we think about is taking care of the self, as far as like making sure that we're brushing our teeth, making sure that we're taking a bath, making sure that we're, exhibiting proper hygiene, so that when we go out into the real world, we're presenting our best self, because that's the first thing that we think about as a child. But as we get older and we're moving into adolescence, we're thinking about, how we look, what we're putting out there. So we're thinking about, taking care of our hair, taking care of our nails, making sure that, our body is looking right. So we hit the gym because, we want to have that nice looking body. So we make sure we exercise and, we stay hydrated. So because we want that nice looking skin, we're making sure that we get a good night's sleep so that we stay looking young. So we're looking at those aspects as far as like the physical aspect, because we want to look good, we want to look young, we want to feel energetic. So that's what we think about when we're thinking about the physical. But then again, when we get older, we realize it's not only physical, because things happen and we're like, okay, there's the mental aspect when we thinking about self-care. So am I okay mentally? We don't think about the mental aspect of self-care when we are younger. It's when we're like in our 20s, we're thinking about the mental aspect. Am I okay? And when we check that box and look at that question and we may not answer that, yes, I'm okay, that's when we're like, okay, if I'm not okay, maybe I need to check in with a mental health counselor to make sure that I'm okay. Am I having anxiety? Am I facing depression? Am I, having a binging moment where am I eating too much? Or am I anorexic? Am I doing drugs? Am I smoking? What behaviors am I exhibiting that are not healthy for my body? So that is the mental aspect. And then, once we get those mental aspects in check, then we look into the spiritual aspect. Unfortunately, that's the last aspect that most people check in with, as far as like, the whole self-care. Um, am I in tune with my spiritual being? Do I believe in a higher power? Do I believe in God? Does God exist? What is this whole universe is all about? Is there an afterlife? So that's like the last thing that we usually think about, because we spend most of our time and our energy in the physical realm. And then once we feel like we're okay in that aspect, we move into that mental aspect, because that's the second thing that we usually think about. And then we move into, the whole spiritual, and we start thinking about, the spiritual aspect. So those are the three boxes that we usually go through when we're thinking about self-care.
Mm, yeah. So, I hear you talk a little bit about hygiene, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, let's talk about that a little bit. Uh, in terms of hygiene, what would be your recommendation for someone who is listening to us right now? And it could be at any age, in terms of daily shower and daily brushing teeth. What would your recommendation be?
Well, I mean, for our children, it's important, that we educate them on the importance of, keeping up with their daily hygiene. Because as a child is not as important when you get into, middle school per se. I mean, kids are not as cruel, I would say, when you get into that middle school year when your hormones are acting up, and you get that, since they're acting up, you get that smell. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no other way to put it. So you need to make sure that you're taking proper care of yourself. You need to make sure that you're using deodorant, because you perspire, and you will have an odor. And when you do, you need to make sure that you smell fresh and clean, because if you don't, then people are going to start talking about you, and that's like one less thing that you want to have to worry about, because there's a lot of other things. You're self-conscious about your body, you're self-conscious about your ability, you're self-conscious about everything in that middle school age, and that's like one less thing you want to worry about. And then, since your body's going through so many changes, you need to be able to get a lot of sleep,
Mm-hmm.
because your body needs a lot of rest. Like for us older folks, we need to get a lot of rest, because we want to be rejuvenated, we want to look healthier, and we want to look younger. But for kids, your body is recuperating, your body needs rest, because you're going through a lot of changes, and you don't want to be moody, and you don't want to be cranky, because especially for a young woman, you're going through your menstrual cycle, and you get moody, you get cranky, you have lots of syndromes. So you want to get that proper rest. It's because you want to be your best self. So that's the reason why you want to make sure that you're taking care of your body,
Mm-hmm.
because your body's going through a lot of changes, and you want to feel confident about yourself.
Mm-hmm. So what I'm hearing you say, you recommend that they get adequate sleep, right?
Absolutely.
Also, good showers, right? And basic thing, brush your teeth, right?
Absolutely, at
You
that
know,
age.
there may be a debate among people who might say, well, how many times should I brush my teeth in a day? So at least, is it twice a day? At least once a day? 3 times a day? Uh, and the same question may come with for shower as well. Some people may be debating over there. Uh, do my child need a shower a day, or do they need 2 shower a day? One before school and one after school, or one before school and one before bed, or do they need more than that? So, what would be your recommendation?
My recommendation would be twice a day. Um, and I'm gonna tell you why. I mean, you want to have, you know, a fresh breath, in the morning. So you should brush your teeth in the morning. You want to be alert. You want to be fresh and ready to go. You should take a shower in the morning, and you want to sleep well at night. So you should take a shower before you go to bed. And you ate during the day, you probably might not have had an opportunity to brush your teeth after lunch, after dinner. So you should brush your teeth before you go to bed. And I might even add, you should floss, because that will help prevent you from getting cavities when you go to see your dentist. And cavities are costly, because every cavity you you have when you go see the dentist, you will have to put a cap on it, a sealant, and that will cost you money. So the less cavity you have, the better that will be for you. So yeah, my recommendation would be to brush your teeth twice a day, and I would add to even floss, and that would prevent you from getting cavities,
Mm-hmm.
and it will help you to have um, a good smell breath, reduce bad breath. That's what I would say, reduce bad breath. And then also, I mean, eating gum, and I'm not saying like eating just any type of gum, but like, peppermint gum, so that you can have like a fresh odor, like, when you're speaking with people, so that you can feel confident,
Yeah.
when speaking. like because you will have like fresh breath, you know.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you bring that. People tend to take you based on how you presenting yourself. You know, I sometimes people don't imagine uh, the how much damage those little small things would cause to your body. The food particles that stay in your mouth. Let's say you go to bed without brushing, without flossing. When you wake up in the morning, do you find those residual food in your mouth? And if not, so where do you think they go? They go in your body. And if they go in your body, guess what? They cause infection. And I saw that in a YouTube video as well. Actually, it'll cause you infection when those things go into your body. And that's why it is extremely important that you clean, you floss, you brush your teeth very well before you go to bed. When you wake up in the morning, do you want to give a good smile? Do you want to feel comfortable talking to people? Then guess what? It is extremely important that you do those things. And I'm glad that you bring those things. Because I know somebody probably listen to this and they say, what this got to do with the holiness? What this got to do with the Bible? You know what? God care about our body.
Yes.
And it cares about our body.
Yes.
I believe in Romans chapter 12, Paul say that I urge you, brother, to present your body as a living sacrifice, holy and pleasing unto God. So all these is part of, bringing your body, it's honoring honoring God, with your body.
Yes.
So these things are extremely important. And again, we wanna make other people feel comfortable. And people do feel comfortable, when you bring fresh and good vibe. And those fresh and good vibe associate with body odor.
Absolutely.
How do you smell? How do you dress? How do you look? And even an aspect of mental health. When a mental health worker or provider met you, they do an assessment. And the assessment that they do is focused also in your appearance. How do you look? Even with that, to determine whether you have some kind of mental condition or not. You understand? How do you present your body? Who do you attract to? Has to do with how you present your body. Who's going to be attracted to you has a lot to do with how you presenting your body. God already gave you the natural beauty. God already making you look good. God already giving you everything that you need. But guess what? Maintenance is important, right? Maintenance is important.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter, how expensive that I bought a house for my child or how expensive that I give my child something. If they don't maintain it, it's like I lose my money.
Absolutely.
They waste it. And I think those of you who are listening to us right now, God gave you this body and trusting you that you will maintain it in a good condition. And that's what self-care is about. God wants you to take good care of your body, and of your body, so that's extremely important to take that good care of the body that God is actually giving to you.
This video is sponsored by Piano Foundations with Jaden, where music knowledge is a gift given generously. Kids and adults alike can learn important concepts like chords, scales, and how to read sheet music, bringing them one step closer to being a professional musician. Contact at Jaden's Piano Foundations on Instagram or use the link in the description for more information. Enjoy the video.
The Bible says something in 1 Corinthians 6, verse 19 and 20. There's a questions that ask to us who are listening. And he say, do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? And he say that you are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body. God wants to be honored with your body. And so is people around you want to be honored by the way that you carry yourself. So we also have the agenda to talk about the mental aspect of self-care, right?
Right.
So what would you say about that, Katiana?
Remember, like we stated last time, that the mind is a battlefield. And sometimes we may not necessarily be okay. And when we're not okay, it's okay not to be okay. And it's not okay to not be okay and continue life as if we're okay. So that's when we need to take a pause and check in with a mental health professional. And Black people have shown that they can continue and not stop and check in. And that's when they have a mental breakdown. Okay? Because we have been taught to be resilient, because we have proven time and time again that we are a resilient people. But we don't believe in checking in with mental health care professionals, because we believe that, mental health care professionals are, for crazy people. We don't need mental health care professionals, but we actually do. And I think checking in with mental health care professionals at all ages is important. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're crazy. It's just another layer of self-care. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah,
just
definitely.
To check in, just to make sure that everything is okay with you. Because we're living in a society where it is very stressful. And I don't know about you, but a lot of things has shifted since the pandemic, that even children, it's okay for children to check in with a mental health care professional, just to make sure that, their level of stress, it's enough for them. You know what I'm saying? Because school is stressful. Jobs are stressful. Family lives are stressful. So it's okay to check in with a professional, with a mental health professional, just to make sure that everything is okay. It's not something that, you need to do continuously, but, to take a pause, just to do a self-assessment to make sure that you're okay, And if you're not okay and you need to see one for a couple of weeks or a couple of months, it's okay for you to feel that it's okay for you to see one. And it's not because you're crazy or because something is going wrong with you in your life or whatever the case may be. But it's like going to a chiropractor. It's like to recalibrate, to get you back in the right, state.
I'm glad that you bring that. Actually, one of the article that produced by the American Psychological Association, um, they talk about pace yourself. And that they say that monitor yourself for disrupted sleep, excessive fatigue, irritability, poor focus, and marked anxiety. And then they added that if we run on empty, we can't care for others. You know, we cannot care for our families. We cannot care for our community. You know, so that's extremely important that those things, it's our own responsibility to monitor ourselves to know how we're doing. And a lot of time, we're responsible to let other people know how are we doing. We know when we are not okay to say that we are not okay. We know when we could go on and to let others know that, you know what, we can and we cannot. I'm glad that you bring the whole mental health, because this is something that I've been, a lot of improvement has taken place in our community. But I think there's a lot more work, a lot of education that needed to be done. A lot of people will go feel very comfortable to get their yearly checkup with their physical doctor, you know, or every 6 months, you know, they will get that done. But when it comes to mental health, which is a part of your body that been working ever since you are in your mother's womb, we never care to get an evaluation done to see how we're doing mentally. Because if somebody found out that we went to see a mental professional or mental health provider, they automatically assume that we're crazy. But in reality, we do this as prevention. That's primary prevention, to prevent us from getting there. You know, you don't wait when your car broke down, then you take it to the mechanic. It's gonna cost you a lot more money, versus that if you take your car to a mechanic to get the regular checkup, the regular service that it need prior to the car broke down, oil change and things like that. And I think our mind sometimes it needs that too, to sit down with a mental health professional to do an evaluation to know how we're doing mentally. And I think this is extremely important.
I agree.
And we gotta encourage people to go for this, you know, as needed. You know, don't let until you get to the crisis mode where they have to call 911 for you to go take you there. You know, we go to medical doctor, our PCP, for primary checkup, right? Why do we do that? It's because that we don't want to have to go to an emergency room. Because once we get an emergency, we're going to end up in the emergency room. Or we don't have to go to urgent care. So it's the same way there are some signs and symptoms. When you see it, you could go ahead and check with a mental health provider and not feeling ashamed, not feeling embarrassed. Because guess what? You have a lot of things going on in your life. And stress, daily stress, it's a contributor factor to all the mental condition that we're dealing with. So I think taking care of your mental health is extremely important. It's good for your family. It's good for your children. It's good for your coworker. It's good for your job. You know, it's good for your community. Because I heard one say that it's all mental. It's all mental. You know, everything that we're doing is flow out of our mental. You know, as I'm communicating with you right now, you know what? Communicating is the mental. Our mental is communicating. or another, what our spirit is communicating.